What is happening? Welcome back to another video. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, smash that like button because it really helps me out. Now, a question I get asked all the time on Instagram and TikTok are questions about the assessment centre and how to physically prepare yourself to go down there. It's a lot harder to answer this in short form, hence why I'm making this video. Now, before we get into the assessment centre and some of the requirements that you have to hit, I want to make it very clear that the assessment centre is merely a stepping stone, or should be a stepping stone to your goal. Your main goal is to pass at the assessment centre, get to phase 1 training and pass out and get to your unit. There are 3 main tests when it comes to the assessment centre. They are very simple tests and they're not hard to prepare for, but the first one is a mid-thigh pull. Now, as the name suggests, there'll be a bar in front of you that is set at mid-thigh height, and you'll be required to pull on that bar as hard as you can for 5 seconds. You'll then rest and repeat. The easiest way to prepare for the mid-thigh pull, to put it simply, is work on your deadlifts, work on that pulling power. It is a very simple test. When it comes to the second one, it's a med ball throw. So you'll be sat with your back against a wall, potentially a horse box, whatever they use down at the assessment centres, and you'll be throwing a 4-kilogram med ball as far as you can. This is just testing your explosive power, and there's many things you can do for this. You can just plyometric movements, for example, like plyometric press-ups, or just working on that explosive power when you're doing your upper body. And the final test, which I think is the one that everyone flaps about the most, is the MSFT. Now, I've seen a couple of people online saying different things where they've run 2 kilometers or they have done the beep test. And I will put a screenshot up at the end of all the different standards. So the MSFT is where they'll have cones set out 20 meters apart and you'll be running to a beep. The aim is you want your foot to be touching the other line on the beep. The first 3 levels are deemed as like the warm-up levels. They are very slow. And then after that, the pace does start to rise. Easiest way to prepare for this is working on your zone 2 training. So zone 2 training is very good at building that endurance, building that engine, which you need to have, but also doing interval training for that speed work. So when it comes to the standards then, I will put all the standards on screen right now. And as you can see, they vary from cat badge to cat badge. And this is very expected because you will naturally have to be fitter if you wanted to be an infanteer versus if you wanted to be a clerk, for example. So that's the assessment centre and some of the requirements you've got to hit in order to pass, as well as like you've got your final interview, some command tasks, they do a medical as you get there, etc. But how would I prepare for the assessment centre? Or to word it better, what would I be doing to prep for phase 1 training? Now, time will vary from person to person. However, what I would be doing is splitting it down like this. I'll be doing 2 upper body sessions a week. I'll be doing 2 lower body sessions a week. One of the lower body sessions being more fixated around single leg strength. I'll be doing core twice a week, and I'll be putting that on the end of 1 upper, 1 lower. You can put them anywhere though. I'm just giving you a foundation to work off. I would also be doing 2 interval sessions a week with a zone 2 run once a week. So with the interval training, what I would personally do is I'd probably throw it on the end of an upper and a lower, pretty much. So I'd go do my upper body session, and at the end, I could do something like, I don't know, 10 times 300 meter row. There's a little session for you. And with the zone 2 running, again, this is a very frequently asked question. Zone 2 running is very good for building that engine, for building that endurance. It works off your max heart rate and working off like zone 2 of that heart rate, okay? But the simplest way to describe it is, let's just say you go for a run for 45 minutes with your friend. You want to be able to maintain a conversation throughout the whole run. You don't want to be hanging out. You don't want to be unable to speak to your mate. You want to be able to maintain a conversation for the full run. This is a very short video. I didn't want to drag it out too long. I want to keep your attention for as long as possible. If you do have any questions, please drop them down in the comments below and I will try my best to answer them. But what I do want to reiterate is the end goal is getting to phase 1 training and passing out eventually. It's not the assessment centre. Some people, especially from the messages that I receive, they seem to think that the assessment centre is like a really big deal. It's not. I understand. I've been there myself. I understand it's like you're nervous. You don't know what to anticipate. I get it. But I promise you, it is fine. As long as you've done your research, as long as you know roughly what you want to say in an interview and that you're medically sound, you'll be absolutely fine. The standards are not hard to hit, and every single one of them is achievable. And the only final thing I want to say is never, ever aim for the minimum. Aiming for the minimum is the worst fucking thing you could ever do. You want to be getting to training at a standard where no matter what they throw at you, you can keep going. You do not want to have a name for yourself where you're that fucking idiot that always hangs out really unfit, because it will follow you. And everyone knows everyone, especially when it comes to the phase 1 training establishments. And word can get back. It's just something to think about. And also, why would you want to make your life even harder from being unfit and then going into phase 1 training where you're doing your tabs, obs course, whatever it may be, or just the random beatings they may throw in? I do know now that when it comes to PT, it's steady, it's gradual, they build you into it. But that being said, even though it might be simple and, like everyone says, wasn't as hard as when I was in basic, you still want to be prepared. You just don't want to look a dick. We'll end the video there today. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please hit that like button. And again, if you haven't, hit the subscribe button. It really does help me out. And until next time, remember, stay strong, never sell.